In today's video, I want to share with you kind of the beginning stages of the building process for us and kind of talk to you how we decided on what kind of style of house we wanted and how we actually came about choosing the house plan that we chose and that we love. So we've been in this house now for a little over 2 months and we absolutely love it. And I just want to tell you everything about it, and I'm really excited. So I thought I would just start with how we decided on the house that we got. So we bought a piece of property about a year ago and decided we were going to build on it. And things happened a lot faster than we expected, but I'm really glad that kind of around the time we bought the property, we started looking at house plans to kind of get an idea of what we would want. And there are thousands and thousands of house plans available online, and you can filter how many bedrooms and bathrooms and a garage and porch and square footage. You can just filter all these things to kind of get to what you think you might want. So we did that. And that was very helpful. I would totally recommend just doing that if you're just starting out with the process. But it's really hard with these house plans to imagine what it's going to feel like to actually be in the house. Most of these sites just have a picture, basically a drawing of looking at the house plan from above. So you're just seeing some lines on a piece of paper. So I really wanted to get a feel for kind of the layout and the feel of these houses. So I started looking at YouTube videos where people post home tours, and I specifically started looking at new construction houses because obviously we were building a house now, and I kind of wanted to see what styles people were building, what materials they were using. And so I started looking at these videos and really quickly realized I did not like most modern homes. And the main reasons I didn't like them were, maybe this was just what people were posting online, but it seemed like most modern houses were just really vast. They often have giant vaulted ceilings, completely like open concept floor plans where everything is open and just feels kind of echoey, and they also just seemed really difficult to decorate and to make feel cozy. So I really didn't like any of these plans, and I noticed that a lot of the house plans that I was finding online, pretty much all of them were open concept. And it's pretty easy to close walls off, but I really just wanted to get an idea if that was what I actually wanted. So I then came across a YouTube channel of a woman who does tours of farmhouses, and there are modern farmhouses, and then she also does tours of old farmhouses that people have lovingly restored. And I really loved the actual old farmhouses, and I loved the coziness. It seemed like there were all these little kind of nooks and crannies and walls to put a little bookshelf on or paintings, and they just felt really cozy. And they all actually had more of a closed concept floor plan as well, and also much smaller kitchens. And I know that sounds really crazy and counterintuitive that you would want a small kitchen, but it's really hard to actually cook and work in a huge kitchen. There's usually like a really small space that you actually wind up using all the time, and the rest of it is just there. At least that's been my experience in large kitchens. So I liked the idea of a smaller, more efficient kitchen. And there were a couple of these homes in these YouTube videos that just really, really inspired me. And then, so this is just kind of building up to how we came to the conclusion that we wanted the house that we chose. Around the time we sold our house, someone sent me a link to a home that was for sale in a town close to where our property was. And it was a 1920s Craftsman style house. It was beautiful. It had beautiful wood floors, really, really like intact wood trim everywhere in the house. Beautiful dark wood trim. And this house was just, it felt like my soulmate. I actually cried over this house a couple times. I showed it to my husband and he liked it a lot, but he said no. It was an old home. We were selling our old home, which was a lot of work and money. We had already bought this piece of property. We had already decided we were going to build, and he didn't want to change that plan. So I was disappointed at the time, but I'm so glad that we didn't buy that house. I'm sure it was gorgeous. We would be happy probably in that house, but I'm really, really glad we went with this option because it was so much fun and we love this house so much. So I didn't get that house, but I started to get creative and I asked myself, why can't we build a house that looks like an old house? Like, what is stopping us? And why aren't people building houses that look like old homes? Because it's kind of a trend right now and has been for a while to buy older homes and renovate them. So there's something about these old houses that people really, really like. And it is that coziness, that warmth, the character in these old homes. So why couldn't we build a house that looked like this? And there's a couple of things. We didn't have a huge budget. I mean, we're building a smaller house. So our house is 1,260 square feet. To give you an idea, it's not a huge house. And we didn't have tons of money to work with, but we had a decent amount, and there were certain things that we could recreate easily to look like an old house, but certain things we couldn't get. Like, there's no way we could afford real wood trim, like an oak or a mahogany. We could do something cheap like pine or alder, but that's a completely different look. That looks very rustic and Western, and that's not really the look we wanted. So yeah, there were certain things like that we knew we weren't going to be able to get. But yeah, we just decided, let's just try to build a house that looks like an old house. So we started looking at actual old house plans from like the 1920s, the Craftsman style, because that really connected with us. And it also, that style of house would fit really well on this lot because it's a very, it's a long, narrow lot, and a lot of Craftsman houses are kind of basically long rectangles, many of them. So I started looking at old house plans, and there's tons of these online. A lot of people did like Sears kit homes or Aladdin Homes, and I loved a lot of these old houses. And I started also thinking about my grandparents' homes, and maybe you have this too, where you would visit your grandparents a lot when you were a kid, and their houses were a lot smaller usually, and the kitchens especially were super small. But both my grandmothers, as far as I know, never really complained about their tiny kitchens, and they cooked all the time. And it's actually really, really efficient to cook in a small kitchen. So that's maybe a little bit of a consolation if you do have a small kitchen. They're actually really efficient and often nice to work in because you don't have to walk from one end of the room to the other to get to something. You don't have this huge island to deal with and walk around. So that's kind of how we came to this conclusion that we wanted to sort of recreate an old house. And then we found a builder, kind of very suddenly. And we were living with my husband's parents and just really, really wanted to get out and get this house built. So we found a builder, and I might tell more of this story at some point, but we had to decide on our house plan within probably like 24 hours, just because he was willing to build our house, but he was building 2 other houses like right next to ours, and he was starting them within another week or 2. So he wanted to start all 3 at once if he agreed to build our house. So we had to make a decision really quickly on the house plan we wanted. So we fortunately had been looking at plans for maybe about 6 months at this point, and really kind of honing in on the style we wanted. So there was a house plan that we found online, and I will pop that on the screen, that was really close to what we wanted. It was really simple, and we knew that our builder would be able to build this house easily. So we chose this plan, and then I kind of submitted a few changes we wanted to make to the builder, and he agreed, and this is the house plan that we came up with. I will put it on the screen. Yeah, it's a really, really basic plan, and as you can see, we didn't make that many changes. We just added some cased openings and kind of extended a wall and took out the kitchen peninsula, and then where the laundry is, we made that a walk-in pantry because that was something I needed. That was a need in my kitchen. So that's how we decided on this house. And then in the next videos, I'm just going to talk all about everything we chose, all our finishes, our flooring, our trim, our paint, our cabinets, our fixtures, and our furniture. But yeah, I'm so excited to share this with you and maybe inspire you if you are in the process of thinking about building a house, or maybe you've already bought a piece of property and you're in the process of looking at house plans. Just maybe open your mind if you find you're not connecting with a lot of new house plans and you're looking at these home tours as well and things just don't seem quite right to you. Just open your mind, talk to a builder and kind of show him your ideas. Fortunately, a lot of old house plans are actually really, really simple. They're oftentimes way more simple than modern house plans. They're usually just either a rectangle or a square, really, really basic shapes. So yeah, I would just open your mind and get creative. So thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one.